Hi, I'm Kristin Woodford, the Routine Queen. Podcast host, keynote speaker, and motivator extraordinaire, I help uplevel women's lives one healthy habit and mindful day at a time. I wasn't always a fan of routines and early mornings, and spent most of my life feeling that although life was great, there seemed to be something that was missing. I was missing a piece of my spark. And over the years, I have built a foundation of healthy daily habits and rituals that created my own secret sauce for feeling the best I've ever felt. I realized that the secret had been right there inside of me the whole time. If you feel like your spark is more of a pilot light, then this podcast is for you. Throughout the podcast, we will cover all areas of life, including the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's time to move from feeling like you're just trying to keep up with to-do lists and into feeling like you control your day and ultimately your life. Increase your energy, be present in the moment, and find joy in all moments of life throughout the day. Thank you for joining on this journey. Now let's see how we can up-level today. This is the Routine Queen podcast, healthy habits, and mindful living. Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment to share one of my favorite companies with you. Throughout most of my life, I never really had a regular skincare routine. I always thought it took too much time and I was too overwhelmed with all the products that were out there. But a few years ago, I met Jamie from Glow Jar Beauty, and since then, my skincare routine is one that I look forward to every day, for real. Her products are quality, the method is simple, and my skin has never been happier. Sustainability, education, and celebrating skin at every age is at the heart of Glow Jar. Do yourself a favor and check out glowjar.ca, that's glowjar.ca, and use discount code ROUTINEQUEEN for 15% off. Enjoy. Hello, welcome to today. I am Kristin, your Routine Queen. Okay, I have to start this by saying I have notes to read from because I just finished recording this episode and it was really great. I loved the message. And then I realized after I had recorded all of it that the mic wasn't working. And so my option is to post one with a crappy video or with a crappy audio, or to do it again without notes and just like wing it, but I'd probably get frustrated, or to use notes. So hi, this is just a lesson that things don't always go according to plan and it's how you pivot. So I make it work. Anyways, today is a really fun episode because we are celebrating the Routine Queen podcast turning 2. The official birthday of the podcast was a few days ago on April 19th, but it's exactly 2 years old, which is crazy to think. And so today is a mashup of a few little things that I wanted to say, which starts out with gratitude, of course. And then we're going to go into what does the podcast look like from here on out. And then my little learning and sharing for the day, which is, we'll get into it a bit later, but it's what energy are you bringing to the table? And then there's some takeaways that you can take with you to implement in your own life if applicable and if you desire. So, okay. One thing I wanted to mention off the bat too is that if you have not liked and subscribed to the podcast, feel free to go do that now. It ensures you that you don't miss an episode. And also, if you have a friend that you want to share it with, please feel free to share. I love hearing how the episodes land for you, what you implement in your own life and the changes that you're seeing because of it. And just any bit that you can share, it helps spread the message. And just helps build our community. And so thank you. Eternally grateful. Also, because it's birthday week, I mean, it was like birthday a couple days ago, but I look at it as like a birthday week. We are celebrating by doing a giveaway. And so if you rate and review the podcast, now if you have done it before, no worries, don't fret. You can do it again because it's probably been a while since you've done it. And so go ahead, leave a rating, leave a review, and before you submit it, just take a snapshot of it and send it to me or post it on social and tag me so that I know you did it. And then everyone who does that will be entered to win one of my favorite life-changing books. And so today is April 23rd, so you have until April 30th will be the last day that you can enter that draw. So thank you and good luck. Okay. Where do we go? So much gratitude. I have gratitude for curiosity and awareness for myself, for the world around me, and so much gratitude for my tribe. And so for those, God, if it looks like I'm reading, I am some of it. And I'm sorry for that because I like to just like go off the cuff, but I want to make sure that I get all the points that I had in the original episode. Ooh. And so anyways, for those people who are nearest and dearest to me and who have been here since the very beginning and have been such support and sounding boards and guests and just been part of the whole journey from the beginning. Thank you. Thank you for that so much. Thank you for being a part of this journey and a part of this story. And thank you for sharing, like I mentioned, what lands for you and what resonates, what you've used in your own life. That fuels my passion to keep this going. And if you're new, if this is your first episode that you're listening to The Routine Queen, if you just started, thank you for joining. And I trust that this is going to be a fun ride. So yeah, I also need to give a shout out and a thank you to my business coaches, Nicole and Kayla from My Aligned Purpose, because it wasn't until they planted a seed 2.5 years ago, or anyways, 2 and a bit years ago about the podcast. Before that, I didn't have a desire to do a pod and it wasn't something in my radar, but the seed was planted and it very quickly just became a thing that felt really good. And so my lesson in that is like when you follow the nudges, sometimes it can be so easy and the path just like rolls out very easily for you. And it happened quickly, not rushed, but just like organically and just felt really good and right. So thank you for the nudges internally. And also thank you to those who planted the seed and supported along the way. So a couple of stats for you. So we have 54 episodes, which if you do the math, the podcast gets released weekly and we just turned 2. So the mathing doesn't add up. And last year I took a large portion of the year off of podcasting. I would say probably like 2/3 of the year. And it's disappointing. And at the same time, I was lifing. I didn't have capacity to do the pod because I just was taking care of life. And that meant taking a break and stepping away. And as much as that makes me cringe for doing so, I wasn't clear. Well, I just wasn't able to show up. And also wasn't clear on what I would say if I did show up. So I took the time that I needed to myself. And happy to say that in that time that I was away, the pod actually kept growing in like listens and ratings and stuff. And so thank you for those of you who kept just supporting and showing up even when there was no new episodes for a little bit. And now we're back. So that feels really good. And yes. And we are now in the top 5% of podcasts globally, which is crazy and so exciting. So thank you. And we have just over 6,200. It's actually, I think it's 6,260 plays to date. And when I think about, I'm like, 2 years, maybe it should be more than that. And should. There's that damn word. And whoever invented the word should just, yeah. But when I think about 6,000 people gathering together in one place, and that's 6,000 times people have listened to my words and learning and stories and tidbits and our guests, it's incredible and so powerful. And just my heart is very, very full. So when we think about the podcast, it leads me into thinking, where do we go from here? So when the pod first started, I just wanted to share tips and tricks that I was learning and stories along the way. And I think that we're always learning and growing and evolving. That's no secret. And I think that our messaging changes as we learn and grow and evolve as well. And so right now it's a mix of solo episodes and guest episodes, and I love doing the guests. So watch for more of those. And just to be totally transparent, lately I've been struggling a little bit with the messaging. So what messaging do I want to show up and bring forth? For my own personal journey, that first moment 5 years ago when I sat in my basement and was like, nothing's wrong, but something's not right and something has to change. And I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to try. I fumbled my way into a morning routine, which I didn't even know was a thing. It was just, it very messily came about. And then I realized it was a thing. And that was a moment that I realized it was the most magical thing that ever could be. And then it started out as daily habits and these foundations of simplicity that we often overlook. Things like, how much sleep do you get? What time do you go to bed? What do you do right before you go to bed? Knowing and understanding that the morning actually starts the night before. And what does that even mean? And by doing all of those things, I noticed a shift in how I felt physically, mentally, emotionally, and then it unlocked for me. I've talked about this before, so it's not a secret, but I've unlocked this magic of living from a place that truly comes from my heart. And instead of living for the big moments like the vacation once a year or something big in life to happen or exciting to make me happy, it was true. It was like I was being stopped in my tracks for things like a beautiful sunset or the moon, or just gratitude and love for the moment that I was in with, me being by myself in the moment or with someone else in that moment. It was those moments, those everyday mundane moments that stopped and took my breath away, and it filled me like I truly was radiating from the inside out for just being. And it was full of joy and fullness and a richness. And 1,000%, I know that would not have happened had it not been for me getting into a morning routine. I know that for a fact, because the morning routine is built on intention, and then intention and gratitude, and the rest all comes. So this is a long way of saying I found myself wanting to talk more about the mindset stuff lately rather than the foundational stuff. And so for me, it was a moment of a bit of a disconnect. Like, okay, where do I go from here and what message do I want to share? And so but after some reflecting and intention setting, this is what it's come down to. And it's a realization that I need to keep the foundational pieces because there's people who are just starting on their journey and who are just learning. So every Wednesday is going to be a solo episode where I teach the foundations and the basics. And it will be things that I've learned along the way and some things that you can take home and implement and insert into your own life and your own routine. It's also going to include like some mindset shifts. And then on Fridays, maybe not necessarily every Friday, but on Fridays is going to be the guests. And this is where I like to say, we're going to open up the world one conversation at a time. I don't like surface level. I don't do surface level. It irritates me. And yes. So we're going to go beyond surface level. We're going to get deeper with conversations. And sometimes it's like things that we can do to make us feel better. Sometimes it's things that maybe we're curious about, but don't want to talk about or too shy to talk about. And we're just going to open it up. So these are things that interest me. There are things and people that have helped me in my healing journey. They're that I think could be applicable to a lot of you. And sometimes it's just, I don't know where they come from, but here we go. So Wednesdays will be solo episodes. Fridays, not necessarily every Friday, will be guest episodes. And I know that my whole mindset shift and how I approach life started with the foundational habits. Change your world. So when I think back to these notes, they're not working, so they're just going to go away. When I think back to my earlier years, and I'm talking like 20s, mid-20s, Life was grand. Oh man, 20s were fun. Yeah, every decade was fun, is fun for different reasons. And 20s life was good for sure too. But I always felt like there was something that I was missing, and there was something that was just around the corner. There was just this feeling that there was just something. And so I don't know if you're watching the video. I just pulled up a piece of paper that I had found. It's goals that I want for myself, and I wrote it when I was 17. And they include like to feel at peace. How? Acknowledge all of my feelings and find solutions. Feel confident. Know that I do know. Gain courage and understanding of myself. Become a stronger person. Oh, learn to deal with thoughts and feelings and problems instead of pushing them aside. Find people that will help me move forward. Don't stick with people that will hold me back. Feel better about myself. Learn to speak out. Lend my thoughts, not only when asked. Draw out of my shell. Stop hiding from what might be out there. Stop thinking about doing something and start actually doing it. Find out what I want from life and how I want to make my stand in the world. And that is pretty representative of how I lived the next few decades after that too. And I always thought that it was coming from something externally, like a different job or traveling. My gosh, I went backpacking for a year. Hands down, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And I thought that if I went, I would find it out there. To come back after a year, having the time of my life and not having found it. And it wasn't until 5 years ago, that fateful moment when I was like on the yoga mat in my basement, when it clicked for me. I started doing this daily stuff for me and like truly getting to know me on a deeper level instead of just living the way I thought that I should be living or just doing the things because that's what you do and getting through the days to get to another day. It was that moment that I realized that I had spent decades looking externally, feeling like something was just around the corner to make me feel like truly, truly whole, completely whole. And all I needed to do is just to shift my gaze inward. And that's what would unlock the feeling of fullness and wholeness that radiated through my core and through my heart and made every day, or like a moment in every day, just truly magical. And it all started from a few daily habits. Super simple and seems crazy to say, but that's what it was. But I don't think that I would have gotten there in my 20s because I feel like I had a lot of life to live yet before I could get to a point where I was like, oh, okay, this is it. Okay. So reading the notes from the last episode, I went through this whole big story about like looking for a VHS tape, and that will be a story for another day because I actually really like it. Okay. So thanks for listening to all of that. And now I want to shift gears a little bit, kind of, but not really. It goes along with this. And today's thought is, what energy are you bringing to the table? This could be with yourself, with your company, with your family, with your friends, whatever it is. It's actually all of it. So we know that energy is palpable. When someone walks into a room with specific energy, you could be sitting there and someone walks in and you're like, wah, wah. It just feels like the room just like sinks a little bit. And you're like, ugh. Or if alternatively, if someone walks into a room and it just like, they walk in and it just feels like, whoa, like what is going on? I just feel differently. This person makes me feel really good, or this person gives me the heebie-jeebies. That is energy. And you have it around you, whether you think about it or not, whether you try to actively set up what kind of energy you have. It's there. And so how you approach things with what energy you bring, it's going to feel completely different, and your outcomes are going to be completely different too. So take, for example, the past year. I spent a lot of time when I was not podcasting. I spent a lot of time just not just trying to survive. And then there was also moments when I felt really good and when I like did the things that I knew would make me feel good. My gap is that I didn't do them consistently, for sure. But I knew that at the time, and I knew that I would get back there when I was ready. But even at, quite a few points in that year when I started doing the things, I did them from a place of like almost having to prove myself, or like, I'll show you by doing this. And I don't even know what I was proving or who I was proving it to or who I was going to show. And that's irrelevant, like who you're doing it for, or all of that is irrelevant. What is relevant is the energy and the place that it comes from. And it came from a place of like pushing versus pulling. Now when I do it, it feels like it's from a very different place. It feels like it's like pulling, like, those people who pull like the big truck pulls, the big semis with the big, huge rope that you pull. Yeah, it's hard and it's heavy, but you're pulling it towards you. And with every pull, you start gaining momentum and you start feeling powerful and strong, and it becomes easier and easier. And I got tingles now because it's just like you're pulling all of this good stuff into you and through you and out to the rest of the world, instead of trying to like jam and push where things get broken and you get pissed off and whatever. It's like a pull. It's from a kinder place. It's from a truer, more authentic place. And so where in your life are you pushing or pulling? And if you notice there's a spot where it just feels like not easy and fluid, can you shift something, whether it's your actions or your mindset, to raise your energy, your frequency, your vibration, to get to a place where it's coming from a better energetic place, which will feel better to you, and it will feel better. It will gain better results and better yields. And if you know that you are not in an ideal energetic state, there are things that you can do to shift it. You can go and stand outside barefoot in the grass. No excuses, because there's no snow anymore. You can just simply take a walk or take a couple of deep breaths. You can go hug a tree. Like, not even kidding, there's science behind it. So just go try it. You can move some energy out that is like stuck in you that needs to get out. Go kickboxing. If you need like a more intense outlet, go kickbox. Go to your rage room. Scream in your car. Do whatever you do. Maybe it's like you have a lot of intensity in your day-to-day, and so you need some calm and zen and peace, and maybe you go do yoga or something like that. But it's knowing yourself well enough to know what you need in the moment. And if you don't know yourself that well, that's fine. Then start getting curious and start learning. Try something. If it doesn't feel good, then try something else. But it's don't do nothing, because doing nothing is doing something. It's just doing something that doesn't serve you in the best possible way. So realize, like, ask yourself, what energy are you bringing to the table? And if it's working for you, then great. Then how can you enhance that and just like have fun with it? And if it's a bit icky, how can you shift that? And you can shift it slowly. It's like, it has the potential to shift very quickly. And I notice that when I shift, like when I make a commitment mentally and do a couple of like mindset works, couple of mindset things and a couple other things, within a day, I will feel like a completely different person. But it may not always happen that fast. And sometimes you can't go from 0 to 100. So I posted about this last week, but if you can't hate your body into a life that you love. So as an example, I am in a position right now where I do not like a lot of things about my body, and it's just reality. I'm super annoyed at myself for allowing myself to get to a place where I feel like this, because I know that 2 years ago when I was doing 75 hard, I felt like Superwoman. I felt like the the most incredible version of myself that ever existed. And up to that point, I probably was. And now I do not feel like that. And it feels so far away. And there's a lot of talk going on in my inner realm that isn't serving me. And I can't say I love my body as an affirmation because that is not true for me right now, today. What I can say is like a bridge. So I can say, I love that I am taking action right now to get myself to a place where I feel strong and lean and radiant and vibrant. That is good because I am working on it right now and I can get on board with that. But you need to put yourself in a place where you set yourself up for success instead of running on repeat in a cycle that does not serve you, a cycle of actions or habits or beliefs or thoughts. So how can you shift? Okay. Are you excited? And if you're like, what? Excited for what? Excited for life and excited for you. And, you know, if you're not quite in a place where, how do I say this? If you're in a place where you don't feel your best or you feel a bit disconnected from you, that's okay. But one thing I wanted to mention is it's not a matter of like going back to a version of you that you were. Because for me, I think back to like 2 years ago to 75 hard Kristin, I was like, I want to go back to her. And especially last year, like I spent so much time wanting to go back to her that it's impossible to go backwards. You can't. It's like COVID. When we were in lockdown, we just wanted the world to go back to normal, but you can't go back to normal. It's never going to be that way exactly again. There are aspects of that will be similar going forward in a new normal. And so what are some aspects of your past version of yourself or, you know, your future version that you have in mind that you can pull into the now? And then how can you embody that and live into that to become the truest, most authentic, most vibrant version of you that isn't going back to anything, but is like truly incredible in this moment and going forward? So what energy are you bringing to the table? Do you desire to make a shift in that? And then what are you going to do to start shifting that? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this journey, but thank you for being on your own journey and just, again, so much love, so much gratitude. Thank you to each and every one of you who is listening. Have a wonderful week and ciao for now.